All right, everyone, get ready because today we're going to dig into something kind of wild. So, have you ever read a really interesting research paper and wondered, wait, did a human actually write this?
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that because the line between human writing and, well, AI-generated content is getting blurrier and blurrier, even in specialized fields you wouldn't expect, honestly.
And that's exactly where we're going with this deep dive. We've got this new study, right, from the Journal of Dentistry, and it basically dives into how AI, specifically ChatGPT, might be showing up in, of all things, dental research.
Yeah, and the researchers didn't mess around either. They analyzed almost 300,000 dental research papers.
Wow, okay, 300,000. That's a ton of papers. But how can you even tell if AI wrote a research paper? It's not like it leaves a little note at the bottom, or does it?
Uh-huh, not quite. But this is where it gets really interesting. They zeroed in on what they called signaling words. Think of those kind of over-the-top words you see sometimes, like delve, realm, transformative, that sort of thing.
Okay, I think I see where you're going with this. This groundbreaking research will revolutionize the way we brush.
Yes, exactly. So get this, they compared how often these words were used before ChatGPT came out in November 2022,
Yeah.
and then after, like a before and after snapshot of the research.
Clever. So what'd they find?
Well, the use of those signaling words,
Hmm.
they increased fivefold after ChatGPT launched.
Five times. Whoa, okay. That's not just a little blip on the radar. That's a pretty big deal. But hold on. Couldn't that just be a coincidence? I mean, maybe dental researchers were just feeling extra enthusiastic that year. How can they be sure this was ChatGPT?
That's a great question, and honestly, they were one step ahead. They used some really smart control measures, to rule out any other explanations. Like they looked at words like caries and periodontal words you'd expect to see in any dental research paper, AI or no AI.
Right, just your standard dental terms.
Exactly. And as you might expect, the use of those words stayed pretty much the same. Then they took it a step further with what they called a positive control. They looked at the word COVID.
Ah, makes sense.
Right. And predictably, its use shot up in 2020 and 2022, and then, went back down. So this showed that their method could accurately track how outside events impact the language used in research.
Okay, that's actually really cool. So they weren't just seeing things, there really was a shift in language after ChatGPT. But out of all the signaling words, was there one that really took the crown?
Definitely. The word delve, get this, its use skyrocketed by a factor of 17 after ChatGPT came out.
17, delve, huh? I gotta know, why delve? What's so special about that word?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting. The researchers think it might have something to do with how ChatGPT is trained, particularly something called reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Oh yeah, right. It's like humans basically teaching the AI what sounds good by, feeding it tons of data.
Exactly. And here's the thing. A lot of that data annotation, which is like labeling the data to teach the AI, it's done by workers in countries like Nigeria.
Okay.
And get this, delve is a word that's used pretty often in Nigerian English.
Well, wait. So are you saying that AI is picking up on these subtle language things from different parts of the world and then injecting them into scientific writing? That's kind of wild.
It really makes you think about how language and tech are totally intertwined now. I mean, a simple word choice might actually reveal how AI is learning, but it also brings up some important questions about AI's influence on scientific writing.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm guessing it goes way beyond just weird word choices. So what did this article have to say about the potential downsides?
Well, the article brought up some pretty big concerns, one of the biggest being accuracy, because, AI models, especially ones like ChatGPT, they've been known to, well, hallucinate.
Hallucinate. Wait, so seeing things that aren't really there, like my dog staring at the wall.
Uh-huh, not quite. In AI terms, hallucinate basically means that the model presents made-up stuff as if it were actual facts.
Oh, wow. So it's like the AI is writing a fiction novel, but disguising it as a research paper.
Yeah, kind of. It could just invent studies, data, methodologies, the whole shebang, and make it sound totally believable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really highlights the need for serious fact-checking, especially when AI might be involved.
Yeah, that's a little unsettling. So it's not just about typos anymore. It's about verifying if the research itself is even real. Yikes. Anything else we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, and this one's even trickier, honestly. See, these AI models, they're trained on these huge data sets, right? Tons of text, code, all that. And the thing is, if those data sets have biases, the AI can actually pick up on them, even amplify them.
That makes sense. It's like if an AI learns from, say, mostly research papers by men, then it might not be as good at representing research done by women or other groups that aren't represented as much.
Exactly. And that can have real consequences, right? Like
Yeah.
an AI trained on research by mostly male scientists might miss out on important work by women in the same field.
Wow. This is definitely making me rethink how I approach research. It's a good reminder that even in science, you got to be aware of potential biases, especially as AI gets more involved. So, are there any solutions? What can researchers, publishers, or even just regular readers like me do about this?
Well, the author, who remembers a dental researcher himself, he made a really good analogy. He compared these AI writing tools to Google Translate.
Yeah.
Now, it's helpful for certain things, but you wouldn't just submit something from Google Translate as your own work without, giving it a good once-over, right?
Right, definitely not.
Exactly. And it's the same idea with these AI writing tools. They can be amazing for brainstorming, getting over writer's block, making things sound better, all that. But they shouldn't replace critical thinking, expertise, all the things a human author brings to the table.
Right. Yeah, makes total sense. So, where do we go from here? Are the researchers saying, like, ditch the AI? Should we just, ban it from research altogether?
Oh, no, not at all. Actually, they say AI could bring a lot of good to research. Like, it could help researchers get more done, free up time for the more creative stuff. And it might make research easier to understand for people who don't speak English as their first language.
Yeah, that makes sense. More inclusive for sure. But it sounds like there's still that like use with caution sign flashing over all of this.
Yeah, for sure. The big takeaway is that we need like ground rules, standards for using AI ethically in research, things like better tools to spot AI-generated stuff. Some journals were even trying out those digital watermarks for AI writing.
Wow, digital watermarks. That's pretty wild. It really does feel like we're figuring this all out as we go. But what about us? Like, what can readers do? I don't have a degree in computer science, so how am I supposed to know if a paper is written by AI?
That's a really good question. And honestly, you don't need to be a tech expert.
Uh-huh.
Just use your best judgment. Don't believe everything you read, even if it's in a big, fancy journal. Pay attention to the language, especially if you see those signaling words we talked about. If something feels like too salesy, too excited, or just like written by a robot, maybe double check it. Look for other sources, and don't just assume it's true.
So, like, the same way we approach, well, pretty much everything online these days, don't just accept things blindly. But on a deeper level, shouldn't we also rethink how we judge the value of research itself? Like, if someone's publishing a ton of papers, but they're all like AI assisted, does that even count as, real groundbreaking work?
You hit the nail on the head.
Mhm.
This whole thing isn't just about catching plagiarism or making sure facts are right. It's about the bigger picture of what research is becoming. How do we measure real innovation, real impact, when AI can write like a human? What even is an author if AI did half the work? These are questions we can't ignore as AI becomes more and more common in academia.
It's a lot to think about. This has been a really eye-opening conversation. We've seen how AI is changing the way we read research, and more importantly, why it's so crucial to be critical, to ask questions, and not just take things at face value.
Absolutely. And, it's this awareness, this willingness to talk openly about the tools we're using, about the good and the bad.
Yeah.
That's going to help us make sure AI helps human ingenuity, not like replace it.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. So yeah, next time you see an article that's like delving into the groundbreaking realm of take a second, ask yourself who or what is doing the delving. And that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.